Hey, it's Central Valley Business. I'm your host, Steve Walling. My guest for this segment is Hans Berger. Hans, welcome back to the show.
Steve.
He's been on before. He's an author.
Yes.
When he came on before, we were talking about his book, A Bridge to Cross. This is an awesome story about his family coming out, sneaking out, getting out from Germany at a really tough time. And that was a powerful book. It's a powerful story. Recommend it for anybody. But today, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the sequel to that.
Yes.
And the sequel to that is New Bridges to Cross by Hans Berger. One man's mission to forge a new life in America after escaping the Nazis.
Correct.
Got to be quite a story, I would imagine.
If you like this one, I'm sure you like the first book, you're going to love this book right here.
Yeah?
It's a story, it's my story under Wolfgang Neumann, who never gave up, perseverance in life. I failed several times, but I picked myself up and kept going.
And that's important, you know, and I was talking to someone a little bit ago about, we have to understand, failure is not the end of the world, it's not the end of life, it's not the end of our business. Failure is just a learning experience. When we learn from it, we can pick ourselves up and we can move forward. And that's what you did.
That's what I did.
All right, and you wrote these books.
Yes.
So tell me about Wolfgang.
Okay, Wolfgang was in the U.S. Navy aboard a destroyer, USS Carpenter 825 at Pearl Harbor in 1962 to 64. So I got Wolfgang, that's me, got out of the service in 64, and I was a chief baker aboard ship.
Were you?
I was a baker in Germany, baker apprentice, and they chose me to bake their goodies aboard ship.
You're a dangerous man, you know that.
I baked for 200 guys, all by myself. And one reason I did a really good job is I didn't want to get thrown overboard, okay?
Yeah.
I want to stay dry.
Food's important to those guys, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, and you're not serving them good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
It's the cook or the baker before me, he wasn't too good, okay? The guys were not happy.
Yeah.
So that's one thing for morale builder: food, mail, and money. Well, we couldn't spend any money aboard ship on the ocean.
Back in the 60s, you said food and mail.
Yeah.
Now, in today's world, younger people in the service have no clue as to what mail is. When you would write a letter home, and it would, you know, if you happen to be even in Pearl, but if you happen to be in overseas, you write a letter, it takes a couple weeks to get home,
right?
You know, and then someone's got to read it, write, and get a couple. It could be a whole month between, you know, sending it and getting a return. When you're out there and you're not alone because you got your shipmates, but it's still, you're separated from your family, that's a long time.
It's a long time.
Mail was important, but in between those letters was food.
That's the only thing you had aboard ship. Food, you looked forward to it. That's
food,
the only thing.
Food and coffee.
Food, and there you go, coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed being, you know.
So, Hans, you start off in 1961 on the destroyer. But between that time, when your folks got out of Germany, Nazi Germany, and when did they end up in the United States?
We came in the United States in 1957.
So 57. And how old were you in 57?
16 years old.
You were 16 years old. So in 4 years, you went from being a new immigrant in the country to joining the Navy. That's got to have been quite a transition for you.
It's kind of funny. I signed up and I went to boot camp at Great Lakes.
Yeah.
So we went by train to the boot camp at Great Lakes. And there was a RCPO recruit chief petty officer,
right?
Who nobody liked a whole lot. He didn't do a good job. So the guys with me, they voted me in as being the new recruit chief petty officer. And my English was very poor.
Yeah.
So I got in trouble. I marched them in German.
At that time, that's not too far past the end of the war, man.
I marched them in German. One evening, my recruit officer, he called me, petty officer, second class, called me in. He was our guy that recruited us, marched us and things. And he called me in, and he chewed me out. I did 20 push-ups or whatever, and he chewed me out. I mean, he was mad in a hornet for about a minute.
Yeah.
Then he said, then I left. The guys asked me when I got back, what did he say? I said, I did not understand one word he said. Not one word. Still bothers me today.
There you go.
But anyway, this book picks it up after I got out of the Navy.
Okay.
And all I knew was how to bake. And I
Right.
didn't want to be in the baking business any longer. You know, that's a short life.
Yeah.
It's a hard life.
It is.
So I said, well, let's try something entirely new. I knew nothing about sales. So I looked at the paper when I got to L.A. Well, I actually ended up in San Diego. There was an ad in the paper selling door-to-door encyclopedias.
Oh, geez.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know how tough I was.
Yeah.
I got thrown out a couple of houses. I almost got arrested in Madeira, you know, because it's a no solicit city. And so I said, well, maybe that's not really what I'm looking for. I did
Yeah.
it for a year, okay? But I learned English as I went.
Okay.
People were surprised when they received a volume of 20-some books in the mail. They had no idea what they were buying because they couldn't understand what I was saying. Now, that was funny.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
said, well, this is not really what I want to look for. Then there was an ad in the paper looking for industrial chemical salesman. Now, that is a thrill and a half.
Yeah.
Went to school because chemicals can be very dangerous if you
I
mishandle
have
them.
heard that rumor.
So I went to work. I almost burned this guy up by mistake. I didn't read the instructions.
Ooh.
I had a degreaser for big, heavy equipment. It worked very well on the surface of the equipment.
Right.
Looked like new. The guy says, is it flammable? No, it's not flammable.
yeah.
It was an aerosol can. Says, why don't you stand 20 feet from me with a lighter and we'll see what happens. The guy, it turned into a torch.
Ooh. Learned a lesson, didn't you?
It almost burned the guy up.
Ooh.
Burned off his eyebrows and
Yeah.
stuff. So I didn't get the sale.
I was going to say, did you make that sale?
No. Then, talk about from the thing gets going to get worse, it gets worse.
Oh, no.
I had a drain cleaner. I went to this beautiful restaurant on the hill in San Diego.
Uh-huh.
So I said, I got to get in there and sell them my drain cleaner. I was snuck in the back. It's what you do as an industrial. So you don't go
Yeah.
to the front desk. So I hopped in, and here was the chef. I said, what are you doing here? He says, I got something you're going to love. What is it? Drain cleaner. I says, I know you got a problem with the grease. He says, you got it. So I put a liberal amount of this stuff down in it. It fizzled and it bubbled and it turned green like a lava, you know. It's just stuff. So boom! I opened it up right now.
Yeah.
And he was happy as a lark. So I went downstairs, had some breakfast, you know, read the order, and he says, well, I'm busy right now. When you get back, I'll get you a nice order. So I was eating breakfast, and amidst some breakfast, there was a sulfur smell. People started coughing.
Uh-oh.
Their eyes watered. They all, and I filled, their place was full of guests. They all got up and left.
Yeah.
And so did I, but I paid my bill, you know. But I don't know what happened after that. You know, I never came back. This is one of the things.
Yeah.
So, said, well, you know, this is a tough way to make a living, okay? Then there was an ad in the paper looking for salesmen selling law enforcement equipment to cops.
Oh, okay.
Now, that was interesting. I did it for 30 years.
Did you?
In the course of training, I had to go with the officers. I was all over
Right.
the western United States, certified them in police radar, traffic radar, and
Right.
breath alcohol instrument, and night
You're
vision.
the guy.
I'm the guy.
The radar,
That's it,
okay,
that's
now
it.
I know. All right.
And night vision equipment for the narcs.
Ah.
So I did that for 30 years. And interesting things happened while I did that. I went on right along with the guys because I had to
man.
train them. And well, before I got a trip awarded to the chemical company, a big trip to Hawaii for 1 week, all expenses paid
Cool.
at the Royal Hawaiian. That was the only hotel out there in those early
Yeah.
years. And I got acquainted with this gal, Hawaiian gal, really sweetheart, okay? And I dated her a couple, 2 or 3 times. I only had a week. So she introduced me to her dad, and big guy, big Hawaiian guy.
Yeah.
So he asked me to help him lift some heavy boxes onto his pickup. He referred to the boxes. He's shipping orchids to Long Beach off of a freighter. Well, I had a little training aboard ship. You know what orchids are?
Yeah.
Drugs.
Aha.
He was part of the Asian drug cartel.
Oh.
So I figured, okay, that's what it is. I went to Honolulu PD and told them about this guy. So Honolulu PD contacted him at the harbor where he was loading the ship with his
Orchids.
orchids.
Yeah.
And during the middle of the night while I was sleeping, 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody wanted to break down my door.
Uh-huh.
They wanted me bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I called the police department. They came and says, Mr. Berger, your life is at stake. They want you dead.
Mm-hmm.
They don't mess with you.
Yep.
So they escorted me, the cops escorted me to the airport. I left 2 days early than I was supposed to. Got on a plane and off I went.
And that's your book?
Yeah.
Oh.
In the back of me, a couple of guys sat in the back of me.
Uh-huh.
Very suspicious, had no luggage or nothing.
Uh-huh.
I felt uneasy, but I thought maybe I'm
Yeah.
paranoid, So I went to El Cajon. I lived there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
On the way home from church one day, as I was coming home after I was eating lunch,
Mm-hmm.
a big gun blew out my back window of my car. Big explosion. There was no more back window.
Mm-hmm.
There was glass all over the place. I went to El Cajon PD.
And it wasn't an orchid, was it?
No. It was the Asian drug cartel.
Yeah.
They didn't forget about me.
No, they have long memories.
Oh, yeah.
And you put that in the book.
It's all in the book.
And your name's on the front cover.
Yes.
I watch what car I get into.
Hans Berger.
Yeah.
And almost lost my life. They came the next night. El Cajon PD kept an eye on my house.
Mm-hmm.
They took me home. About 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning, there was noise at the door. I thought maybe it was the paper guy, throwing the paper, but the paper never landed.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I got up, had my 45, and there was a lot of noise that broke down my door. I was sitting in the hallway, and I fired my gun.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I got hit in the arm.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do a lot of injury, but I was bleeding pretty bad.
Uh-huh.
They found a guy laying there. He was deceased. I don't know if it was me or the cops or what. They came and took me, to the hospital and took care of me. So that was a real close call. Then I was also on a drug assignment with the cops in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Colombian drug cartel.
What's with you and the drug cartels? You just
I don't know.
Yeah, you're out there, right?
That was real dicey as well.
Uh-huh.
A couple of guys got killed, Colombians, took into custody. There was a SUV, brand spanking Cadillac SUV. I drove it to the Walnut station, brand spanking new. I ran out of gas along the way. Now this was an operation from 2 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
They closed down these houses. They arrested 4 or 5 Colombians. It was unbelievable. That's all in the book. And then on the way home, I ran out of gas. Cops came up behind me. They had no idea who it was. They couldn't trace the car. They thought it was a stolen car. They took me out, handcuffed me, threw me on the ground. I was eating dust.
Mm-hmm.
I told them who I was. They didn't believe me. I finally got on my feet and I showed them who I was. They called Walnut PD, Walnut Station, Sheriff Station, and they knew who they were expecting the car.
Mm-hmm.
That was a real close call as well.
Yeah.
So this kind of things happen in the book.
You've had such a boring and dull life, haven't you?
Yeah,
It's coming out from Nazi Germany, and it sounds like the most boring part of it was while you were in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was except for the typhoon.
Yeah,
almost.
there you go.
So it's a book you can't put down once you start reading it.
And your first book's selling pretty good. So, and
Very
this
good.
one is out on Amazon presently.
Yes,
Okay, it's
paperback and
New Bridges to Cross, Hans Berger.
Yes.
And it's going to be out in the stores just like this one,
Yes.
I imagine, real
Yep.
soon.
You can get it in stores right now.
Yeah,
In any store, you can pick it up.
good. Hans,
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much,
being-
Steve. It was a pleasure.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
sharing.
for your time.
Come on, if there's a sequel to this one, I want to know about it.
There will be.
There will be. Okay, we'll talk.
All right, Steve. Thank you
Hey,
so much.
Good read, good stuff. Hans Berger,
You can find my book at Amazon.
right?
My website is abridgetocross.com.
Uh-huh.
My phone number is 559-299-6211.
Unless you're with a cartel.
Yeah, that's I don't want to hear from those guys anymore.
There you go. Hey, there are people today that live exciting lives. Hans is obviously one of those people, and he's chosen to share it with us through his books. And that's awesome. And I'll see you when we come back.